Hello, welcome to the Kentucky Retirement System's CERS Hazardous Petition online tutorial. This tutorial was developed to help agencies properly complete the paperwork associated with petitioning the KRS Board of Trustees for hazardous duty coverage. In order for a position to be approved for hazardous duty coverage under CERS, it must meet the definition of hazardous duty as stated in statute KRS 61.592. In the 2008 legislation, an amendment was passed on KRS 61.592 to update the definition of hazardous duty for employees who began participating on or after September 1, 2008 with a CERS agency. This definition is the guideline that the KRS Board of Trustees uses to determine if the incoming position should be approved or denied for hazardous duty coverage. Once an agency is ready to begin the process to have a single or multiple positions presented to the KRS Board for hazardous duty coverage, the agency should first reach out to their ERCE representative. If you do not know your ERCE representative, then you can call the employer hotline and speak to any FileWeb representative for assistance. The ERCE representative will provide information on the petitioning process, the due dates, and the hazardous duty contribution rates for both the agency and the employee. They will also send you the hazardous duty packet that will need to be returned before the due date to go before the board meeting. The KRS Board of Trustees will review all submitted hazardous duty petitions during the quarterly board meetings held in February, May, September, and November. However, these dates are subject to change. In order for a hazardous petition to be presented to the board, it must be correctly completed and turned into the ERCE division by the due date provided to the agency by the ERCE representative. The hazardous duty packet contains multiple forms that need to be completed and requires additional information be provided by the agency. It is strongly encouraged that the agency return this packet to the ERCE division before the due date in case any revisions are needed on the forms. If a revision is needed and the corrected paperwork is not back by the due date, there is a chance that your petition request will have to be deferred and be presented at the next quarterly board meeting, which could result in a later effective date on the coverage for the position. Let's review the forms and additional information that will make up the hazardous duty packet. The first time an agency petitions for hazardous duty coverage, the governing board of the agency must pass a resolution to transfer positions from non-hazardous to hazardous duty coverage. After the governing board passes the resolution to petition for employees who have began participating before September 1, 2008, the Form 7005 must be completed. And due to the 2008 amendment to the statute, to petition for employees who began participating on or after September 1, 2008 in the CERS system, the Form 7008 must be completed. It is the agency's choice whether they petition for one or both. But keep in mind, if both forms are not submitted in the initial petition, it will take a second petition to the KRS Board to have the additional tiers approved for hazardous duty coverage. When filling out the Forms 7005 and 7008, make sure all fields are completed as shown here. The effective date of coverage always must be the first day of the month, and the earliest effective date should be the month following the KRS Board meeting. If the agency wishes to petition for a retroactive effective date, an explanation for the request must be provided. The Forms 7005 and 7008 must be signed by an authorized signature, which could be the agency head or the primary reporting official. Once an agency is under the hazardous duty coverage, if they wish to petition for additional positions at a later date, a new resolution is not required to be submitted. This initial resolution will cover all future positions. The first time an agency petitions for hazardous duty coverage, the agency must complete the Form 7011, Hazardous Participation Certification. When entering the information for the effective date of coverage, remember the effective date of coverage must match the date provided by the agency on the Form 7005 and 7008 resolutions. By completing and signing this form, the agency head and budget officer are verifying they will comply with the laws and regulations surrounding the hazardous duty positions, including, but not limited to, reporting all employees hired into the approved positions as hazardous duty, and paying the higher contribution rates for each position approved. If an agency petitions for additional position approval at a later date, the agency would need to submit a signed Form 7012, Hazardous Coverage Acknowledgement Form, in place of the already submitted Form 7011. On agency letterhead, please provide a list of the position titles that the agency would like to have approved for hazardous duty coverage. The title needs to match exactly the title as it is found on the job description and position questionnaire. We do ask for a list of positions that need to be approved for the pre-September 1, 2008 employee and a separate list of positions that need to be approved for the post-September 1, 2008 employees. Included in this letter needs to be a list of all employees currently holding a job in the position that is going before the KRS Board for hazardous duty coverage. Please provide the employee's name, Social Security number, job position title, and whether they are under the pre- or post-September 1, 2008 group. This position title and employee listing is a very good place to add any additional information you would like to present to the KRS Board for the petition. For example, if you wish to request a retroactive effective date, please include the date and the explanation why an earlier date is being requested within this letterhead. If the agency is petitioning for a newly created position, that title needs to be on the list of job titles, but if there is no employee currently in that position at the time of the petition, please make a note of that within the employee list. The representatives within the ERCE division use the information provided within this letter to double-check that all required documents are accounted for on each position and person before we put the agency petition before the KRS Board. A copy of the job description from the agency is required to accompany the hazardous duty petition for each title going before the KRS Board. This job description should be the driving force behind the position title the agency is petitioning, as the title provided on the job listing, position questionnaire, and the employee HP2 form should exactly match the title as it is identified on the agency's job description. A Form 7025 position questionnaire must be completed for every position being petitioned to receive hazardous duty coverage. If the agency is petitioning for only the pre-September 1, 2008 employee, the agency must complete Section 1 and Section 3. If the agency is petitioning for only the post-September 1, 2008 employee, the agency must complete Section 2 and Section 3. If the agency is petitioning a position title for both pre- and post-September 1, 2008 employees, then the agency will complete Section 1, 2, and 3 of one position questionnaire form. Please do not send two position questionnaires for one position title. To properly complete Section 1, provide the name of the agency and the position title, then mark the yes-no indicators as required. Failure to complete the yes-no indicators will result in the form being incomplete and return to the agency for more information. To properly complete Section 2, first provide the name of the agency and the position title. Then select the appropriate classification the position title falls within and answer the questions that are applicable to that specific classification. If the position title is Emergency Medical Technician, or EMT, then you must complete all of the associated questions below the Emergency Medical Technician classification and provide the percent of time the position spends doing clerical administrative duties along with a brief description of said duties. The percentage you place here will be added to the percentage of time spent on the other duties in Section 3, and the total between the two pages cannot exceed 100%. Please do not complete this percentage of time spent field and description of duty field if the title listed under Section 2 is anything other than Emergency Medical Technician. To properly complete Section 3, first provide the name of the agency and the position title. The agency then needs to list a duty the employee does while at work and provide a percentage of time that this duty is performed along with a brief description of the duty. Do not use the position title as a duty title. You must break the job down into actual duties performed by an employee while in that position. The percentages of the duties cannot equal more than 100%, and please keep in mind the post-908 EMT already has a percentage attached to the clerical administrative duties in Section 2. The duties shown here are for illustrative purposes only and can vary from one position to another. Please note, this information is what will be reviewed by the KRS Board to make the determination whether the position should or should not be approved for hazardous duty coverage, so please be as detailed as possible in your descriptions. If you determine you need more space, you may make extra copies of Section 3 for the additional job duties. Please note the employer name must be provided in each section along with the position title, and the title must be identical to the title on the job description and on the position title list. The agency head is the only signature allowed and must be provided on both pages. If additional copies of the Section 3 have been submitted, those must also contain the signature of the agency head. The final form in the Hazardous Duty Petition packet is the Form 2011 Hazardous Duty Certification HP2 form, which must be completed on each person employed in a position that is being petitioned for hazardous duty coverage. The title of the position must match the title as it has been submitted on the position listing, job description, and position questionnaire, and the effective date cannot be prior to the effective date of hazardous duty coverage for the position title as provided on the Form 7005 and 7008 and the Form 7011. Statute also requires a physical examination be performed within 12 months of the effective date of coverage, and a copy of that physical examination is requested to accompany the Form 2011. If your employee does not have a KRS member ID, the agency may provide the employee's Social Security number in its place, but do not leave this field blank. This form may be signed by the agency head or the agency reporting official. If the division chief is an authorized signature with Kentucky Retirement Systems, they may sign this form in place of the agency head and reporting official. You will note the effective date of coverage on the Form 2011 must also match the employment begin date reported electronically to KRS on the monthly report for the position title. If the dates do not match, the agency will be contacted to verify the correct date, and the Form 2011 will be invalid until the correct date is verified. A couple things to remember while you are completing the hazardous duty packet. If a packet is not completed in its entirety, or if there are errors on any of the documents, the packet will be returned to the employer to correct with no extension to the due date. The position title must be identical between the position title list, the job description, the position questionnaire, and the employee hazardous duty certification form. The hazardous effective date of coverage must be the first day of the month after the board meeting, unless specifically requested in writing, and must be identical on all paperwork. Retroactive effective dates cannot be guaranteed approval by the KRS Board. Hazardous duty coverage is granted by position, not person, and once a position is approved, any person hired into that position is under hazardous duty coverage for the longevity of the position. If your agency head is signing forms, make sure they are set up under Contact Person in Employer Self-Service as the agency head. If your department is reported to CERS by the city or by the fiscal court, then the agency head is either the mayor or the county judge executive. If your department is independent and reports themselves to CERS, then your agency head is the department chief or top position within the agency, not including the governing board. If an agency has multiple pay grades within a position title, and the position duties do not change between grades, consider only petitioning the main title for approval, not each pay grade level. If an agency wishes to have an already approved hazardous position title updated, for example, policeman to police officer, send a current job description with a letter requesting the change in title name. This gives the agencies opportunities to do away with outdated titles and get pre-908 and post-908 titles to match exactly. Thank you for reviewing the CERS Hazardous Duty Petition tutorial. If you have any questions about hazardous duty participation, please contact your ERCE representative or the employer hotline at 1-888-696-8810.